I'm Marcy Lundy, and today I'm very excited to have Karen Salmansohn on the podcast today. Welcome, Karen.
Oh, hi. It's so great to be here with you.
Yes, Karen is a best-selling author and behavior change expert. Karen, if you could tell the audience, what is a behavior change expert?
Well, I understand the psychology of resistance to change.
Mm.
Change is very scary. People cling to the familiar, and I help them to let go of that clutching on to the familiar and get out of their comfort zone and try new habits and new thoughts and
Mm.
create a new, better life for themselves.
Very good. Well, reading about you and learning that you have sold more than 2 million copies worldwide, I feel like people trust what you have to say. And so, if you could tell the audience a little bit about yourself and how you got to where you are today.
Sure. Well, I've always been interested in psychology, even at a young age. And philosophy too. But
Okay.
I also love humor. So what I kind of love to do is read the stuff that maybe somebody else would think was like too dense or boring or complicated. And
Mhm.
then I process it and I spit it out so it's fun and simple and easy to do. So I make change feel fun, easy, and simple to do. So that's one of my skills. And and it started when I was a kid. I used to read Psychology Today and Mad Magazine. Uh, and I kind of think to myself, if you put Psychology Today and Mad Magazine in a blender and press frappe, that would be my books. And
Wow.
I've been since then. It's weird because that was one of my things that I read when I was a kid. I've been a columnist on Psychology Today. They're a bounce back columnist because I wrote a
Mm.
book called The Bounce Back Book that is all about resiliency psychology. And I've written a lot of books on not only on habit formation, but also on happiness and
Mm.
and being calm and different books that tackle these things with humor. And I've sold over 2 million books and courses. And now I have my new book, which is about death, but it's really about life, even though it has the word die in the title, because it's called You're to Die for Life. And it's
Oh.
about how to live a life that's literally to die for.
Ooh. Now, that's wonderful, first of all. And the word die and death sometimes scares people.
Yeah, that's where the humor comes in handy.
Oh, wow. So, why do you think that this word scares people so much?
Well, first of all, I think we don't talk about it enough. So for that reason, it's like one of the less taboo conversations because at this point, people will talk about pretty much anything on the internet. Well,
It's
like
true.
nothing's like forbidden at this point. Um,
Yeah.
but death, they get all like hush hush about.
Yeah.
And it's how our brains are built. There's something called terror management.
Mm.
That's literally about we're built to deny the fact that we are all going to die. We
Mm.
don't like to think about it. But
Yeah.
I believe that if you embrace mortality awareness, it's not morbid, it's motivating. If you embrace it in the right way, which is how I teach people to embrace it, because mortality awareness creates urgency, and urgency creates action. Just like any deadline. It's like,
Yeah.
you procrastinate till the last minute, and then like, uh-oh, it's due tomorrow. And you do it. Well, and death is like the ultimate deadline. So when you
Mm.
realize, literally, I mean, we can say life is short, but when you realize, oh my gosh, life really is short, then
Yeah.
get to work doing, and you're braver instead of
Yeah.
being afraid of taking a risk. You're
Mm.
afraid of dying with regret. So
Mm.
it motivates you to get off your tush and do all of those things that you want to do and be authentic and enjoy more intimate, meaningful relationships and be of service and live a life you're really proud of.
Oh, gosh, yeah. I know that you encourage people to write their own eulogy.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Well, I started this habit. Well, first of all, I'll even back up a little bit more.
Mm.
Um, I say that I wrote this book. I have two different reasons why I say I wrote this book. Both are true.
Mhm.
One is funny and a little quirky, and one is more sad. So I'll start with the funny, quirky one first. And that is, I wrote this book not because I had a near-death experience, but because I had a near-life experience. And
Ooh.
if you haven't heard of a near-life experience, it's because I made up the term. But when I explain it to people, they're like, oh yeah, oh yeah. So a lot of people are very busy having near life experiences. So what this is, where you're on your phone so much, you're like scrolling and you're not fully present in your day.
Sure.
Kind of on autopilot or you're distracted. That's having a near life experience. Like
Okay.
adjacent. You're not in it. You're next to your life. And another way you could have near life experiences is you're out to dinner with your loved one, but your mind is elsewhere. You're future
Mhm.
projecting worries about the future, or
Sure.
you're obsessing about something, a regret from the past, and you're not fully in your life. Again, you're having a near life experience. And then the last version of it is you're constantly going, oh, yeah, yeah, I'll get to that later. I'll do that some.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
again, you're not in the present living the life that you want. You're kind of pushing it off to someday, to later. And that
Yeah.
means that you're not fully in your life. You're having a near life experience. So I realized I was having a near life experience for the second reason I wrote this book is
Okay.
my dad died.
Mm.
And when he passed, it was like a wake-up call that that there is this thing called death. I mean, it
Mm.
really woke me up to it, and it got me thinking about how I was using my time. And in particular, I was really heartbroken that I didn't have a family when he passed. I was in beast mode. I was working, 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 and I
Yeah.
was swatting away the idea of family. Oh, I was doing the someday,
Sure.
later. And
Yeah.
then he passed, and I was like, you know what? I want more balance in my life. It woke me up to do like a spring cleaning of my priorities and to figure out what I really wanted for my life. And then I gave my dad's eulogy. And after I gave my dad's eulogy, I wrote my own eulogy. I thought, what do I want my life to have, meant to me? What is the meaning and purpose of my life? And then it got me thinking. And then I looked at aspirational eulogy me and
Mm.
current me
Yeah.
and the gap in between current me and aspirational eulogy me. And then
Mhm.
I thought, okay, what do I need to do to bloom in to aspirational eulogy me?
Mhm.
So I created a plan to create bridge habits to get me from now to then. And I used a technique, which I can tell you and your listeners about, that is based in behavioral change, psychology.
Very good. Oh, wow. I love everything about that. And I feel like we are all guilty of not being present. Even when we set out, we will find ourselves drifting. That's near life is something that we all need to tap into.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of us are like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Getting worse, with AI and so much information overload and everything like that. And then a lot of us that we're so busy trying to be productive. We worship at the altar of productivity.
Oh,
And
it's true.
and I think that's a big problem. And so that's why one of my tools that I have is
Hmm.
something that I call a to-die list, which is different than a to-do list because believe I believe to-do lists have a big fatal flaw that they're about productivity and they're
Yeah.
about keeping busy. And
Yes.
you could check off everything on your to-do list and get to the end of your life and feel like you wasted your life because the purpose of life is not to be busy all the time. It's something much more intangible than that. And about, I'm going to tell you that, but I'm going to tell you that I, no, I know which order I'm going to tell it to you in. I'm going to say, but I will say this, that I write a to-die list alongside my to-do list, which I'll explain what that is.
Okay.
I'm going to share with you what I think the purpose of life is.
Mm.
How about that for like a nice light topic?
Love it. Love it. No, go ahead.
Well, Actually, this comes from Aristotle, he's like one of my favorites as far as philosophers go. I love Stoicism. I love Aristotle.
Sure.
Aristotle said that you don't know if you've lived a good life until you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
And then you look at back at it and you're like, how did I do? And
Yeah.
it also says that you should begin every project with the ends in mind. Everything from something small like a bake sale to something large like that gigantic project called your life.
Right.
And envision yourself on your deathbed and think about how you want to feel on your deathbed and who you are, what you accomplished, what you did. Again, this is sort of like a eulogy, right?
Yes.
Think
Yes.
about what you want your life to stand for and
Right.
reverse engineer it and think about what you need to do to get to become, as I mentioned before, aspirational eulogy you. And
Mm,
Aristotle said that we all have the same end goal for our lives, no matter who we are, where we live, what era even. He said that the goal for life is to learn lessons that help you to grow into your best possible self.
true.
And he said the reason why a lot of people are unhappy, and the reason why a lot of people are not only happy now, but they will be when they're on their deathbed, is
Right.
that they didn't see that as the end goal for their lives. They thought the end goal for life was become the richest person on the planet, become the sexiest woman on the planet,
It's true.
podcast downloads on the planet, and that we think it's about status, fame, beauty, money, all of these things. And
Right.
he believed it was, as I said, it's about learning lessons to help you to become your highest possible self. And he called it the education of your soul.
Oh,
But if
yes.
you don't believe in soul, you could just replace that with the education of your core self.
Right.
And so that's what he was about. And so
Mm,
that's why when I teach people to write their eulogies, which I do,
mm,
and
yeah.
in my book, I have a fill in the blank template to help them to write their eulogies, like a Mad Libs thing. So I
Sure.
make it fun. If you don't want to sit down and write your eulogy, some people might find that a little bit challenging. So I made it easy for them. And I'll share with you a little secret about the template, which is
Okay.
a lot of those blanks are core values
Hmm.
because life is about learning lessons that help you to grow into your best possible self. And that means that you should embrace and know what your top core values are and mindfully live that way, embracing them.
So good. Yeah. While people are so busy chasing fame or numbers,
Yeah.
values. And yes, I could see if you're on your deathbed and you realize I was just aiming to please and I did nothing that felt important to me. And
Yes.
uh,
And so in my book, I explain how to look at your eulogy and look at the core values that you've chosen. And if you have trouble even thinking of the core values, or you don't even want to write your eulogy, everything in the book still works because it's more of a broad stroke concept where you could even just think to yourself, who do I need to become to get
mm,
everything I want in my life? And then the answer would be the core value. Or you could look at problems in your current life. Who do I need to become to stop fighting with my partner? Or who do I need to become to be the best mom I can be? Or who do I need to become to write that novel? Or who do I need to become to be happier? You could ask yourself these things and then
right.
put in the core values. And then what I have people do is that's where the to die list came in.
Okay.
You write down, you take your core values and you use them to write what behavioral psychologists call identity-based statements, identity-based habits
Mm,
that become statements. So,
yeah.
and the reason why you do this is your identity is your destiny. Who you think you are determines what you do. Your
Mm,
identity is your puppet master for your habits.
wow.
You're already letting your identity choose your habits, whether you know it or not. For example, if you think, I am sloppy, you will do the habits of a sloppy person. If you think I am clean, you will do the habits of a clean person. If you think I am, I am a successful person, you're going to do more success oriented habits. Or I am brave, you're going to be braver. I am
Right.
kind. And if you think about it, you might not be thinking about it. And then you're accidentally not being brave. You're not being kind. You're not. So you have to intentionally embrace that and then link it to a habit that you need to do. So
Mm.
you use this as your template. I am, and so I do.
Ooh,
You want to hear an example?
I do. Yes.
Okay, so um, I believe one of the ways to live a truly meaningful life is to have meaningful relationships. And I kind of explain that more in the book, and I give tools to improve your relationships so
Mm.
they feel more, deep and meaningful.
Yes.
But one of the things that happened to me where I created an I am, and so I do statement, which shows the power of it, is I live here in New York, and I have a friend of mine who lives in Connecticut, my
Okay.
friend Danielle, and she was having a birthday. And I don't drive a car anymore because I am like some stereotype of a New Yorker where I haven't driven in so long that
Yeah.
my driver's license expired. And
Oh,
I thought, when she invited me to her birthday party in Connecticut, my first thought was, oh my God, how am I going to get myself to Connecticut? I don't know. Maybe I can't go to her birthday party. Like I did that, was my first thought.
yeah.
And then I thought, no, meaningful relationships matter to me.
Mm.
And so I wrote down an I am, and so I do statement, I am loving, because that's
Mm.
one of my top core values. And
Right.
so I find a way to get myself to Connecticut.
Okay.
You connect the core value and you don't do it, it creates what's called cognitive dissonance.
Mm.
Now that I've linked it with a core value, I am loving. And so I find a way to get myself to Connecticut for Danielle's birthday. If I
Right.
don't do it, I feel like a sense of discomfort, like I need to live up to my core value. And there's a lot of ways when you attach a core value to a habit, and there's proof of this. They did a study. This was kind of an interesting study. There's lots of studies on this, but one of them was they were trying to get people to vote more. And
Okay.
they created two groups. One group, they taught them to think of themselves as voters. I'm a voter, I'm a voter. And they did this whole system to train them to have the identity of voters. And then the other group, they just used like catchy slogans and taglines, like try to motivate them to vote. And the group that they taught, I am a voter, I'm a voter, like identity-based things,
Sure.
wound up having like three times as many voter turnout.
Wow.
Then yeah, that your identity truly is the puppet master of your habit. So that's why I teach
Mm.
people in this book how to use identity-based habits, this template, and some other tools too.
That's so powerful. And I'm just thinking about it. You were saying that you don't drive. One of the episodes of Sex in the City where they went to LA and they're all sitting in the car, every seat but the driver's seat.
I saw that and I laughed. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so me. That is so me.
Oh, so good. So good. Oh, thank you, Karen, for explaining that. Could you tell me, as well as the audience, what was your wake up call? And I feel like we're hearing how it shaped you, but what it was your wake up call?
Well, it was when my dad passed,
Mhm.
and then I wrote his eulogy, and that got me thinking, oh my gosh, an entire life summed up in like 500 words or however long your eulogy is. And
Mhm.
I started thinking about that. And another thing that happened when my dad passed, it's a weird kind of woo-woo kind of a story. Although
Okay.
I'm not even that woo-woo. I joke that
Yeah.
I'm just like one woo. I'm not like, but this one, after it happened, I was like, maybe I'm going to become woo-woo. But anyway, my dad was not doing well for a while,
Okay.
but we still didn't know when he was going to die. And
Mhm.
I was visiting him in the hospital, and then my mother came and she said, "Oh, Karen, I was going through Dad's bureau, and I found this envelope that's postmarked from when you were in college, something that you had mailed to dad,
Yeah.
and he saved it in his drawer. And I just found it today for some reason.
Oh,
And she showed it to me, and I opened it up, and I'll tell you what it is in a moment. But
okay.
it was so weird because what I'd sent him was very helpful in me processing his death. And she gave it to me
Hmm.
on the day that he actually passed away. So as if like it was in his drawer, he had saved it. I mean, it was just so odd that it was given to me on the day he passed. And I
Hmm.
share this in the book, and I'll share it for you now. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So in the envelope was, I always read psychology books, and I had read something, and it didn't actually have the name of the book at the bottom, so I still don't even know. But
Okay.
somebody else wrote this. It wasn't me who wrote it. I'd clipped it out, and I liked it so much that I'd mailed it to my dad with a little note.
Hmm. Yeah.
Here's what it said. And I
Hmm.
think this will be really valuable for you and your listeners as well. Um, I'm going to mangle it a little because I didn't quite memorize it entirely. And I've since lost the so many moves of apartments, and I haven't been able to find the actual pages, but I somewhat memorized it.
Yeah.
It said, everything that is not given is lost. And
Oh.
and then it repeated it. Um, let me let me repeat that to you again, for this is a potent wake-up call. It's amazing. I can still remember this. Everything that is not given is lost. And so I repeated it, and it said, every word, thought, feeling, every talent, skill, passion is
Mm.
lost unless you share it with others.
Wow.
But when you share it, it gets passed on to them, who then passes it on to someone else, who then
Mm.
passes it on to someone else. And then it goes on like this. And for
Yeah.
this reason, uh, it's best you keep in mind the metaphor of a pebble being tossed into a pond where the
Mhm.
ripples go out further and further and further. This is you when you give of yourself to
Yeah.
others. And
Mm.
then thinking this way, what kind of ripple do you want to leave behind?
Mm. Oh my goodness.
Uh, right? It's pretty. I didn't write it. I'm just
Great. So good.
repeating it.
So good.
And I thought about my dad's ripples. And then I thought about the ripples that I wanted. And I see these as mini legacies. Like, it doesn't have to be a large legacy. It could be, I thought about my dad's ripples where he taught me about kindness.
Mm.
And because he was an extremely kind man. And he was in a different career than me. He was, in those days, they called it stockbroker. Now they
Yeah.
call it financial advisor. But
Right.
he was a contrarian. Like if everybody was saying buy, he'd be sell. If everybody said sell, like when the market crashed, he's like, yay, everything's on sale. Like he was, you know, and I thought about it
Mm.
after I read this, and I read this at his eulogy, actually, the ripple thing. And I thought, oh my gosh, one of the ripples that he passed on to me is being contrarian because I like, if everybody's zigging, I like to zag. I don't want
Yeah.
to. And I thought, oh, that's one of the ripples he left behind.
Oh,
So, and we all can leave behind ripples. And
we sure.
we should live that way. And that's where core values come in. Like
Oh,
what your core values are. Like you
yeah.
can the ripple behind of being brave, like being an inspiration, a mentor to somebody like, oh, she's
Mm.
so brave. I want to be brave.
Mm.
Whatever your core values are, become your ripples.
Oh, wow, Karen. And anything, oh, wow, I'm blown away right now. So much
Cool.
good to take in. I am maybe a woo and a half, so but that is so powerful. And to have that gift on the day he passed away, like given back to you, let's say. That's so
It's so
beautiful.
strange because I am like, you're just talking to me now, but I'm very about like research, studies, and books and psychology. But when that happened, I was like, wow, that is really odd that here I am holding
It is.
up with that in it,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. As some stuff we're not meant to understand, it's kids met. We can
Yeah.
figure it out.
I
Yeah.
have another weird thing that relates to my dad too, which
Okay.
the book, which is relevant to this conversation.
Yeah.
When my dad passed, as I said, it made me realize that I was working too hard and that I wished I'd had a family that he could have met, my child, and he wasn't going to be able to. So I thought, okay, I really want to really get more serious and intentional about starting a family. So I have my dad's death to thank for my son's birth. But here's a little bit of woo-woo. My
Okay.
son died, my father, oh God, delete. My
Yeah.
father died on August 27th. And 4 years later, after my father's death, my son was born on August 27th.
Oh, I got goosebumps before you even said it. I knew where it was going.
Oh, I'm not even moved, but I was like, that
Oh,
is so cool, you
oh
know?
gosh, how special. Yeah, that's wow. That's invaluable right there.
But I do have my dad's death to thank for that because it woke me up. You know,
Mm,
I I mean, actually, there's a term for a lot of this. If when somebody you love passes, it
mm,
becomes post-traumatic growth, and you start
mm.
to think about your life more. And
Yeah,
and that's what my dad's death did for me. And that's where I developed this whole system around mortality awareness because I don't think we should have to wait for someone we love to die or even us to have a health scare, you know.
right.
So I want to gently remind people
Mm,
that mortality awareness is not morbid, it's motivating. We're
yeah.
here, then we're not. We have to accept that. And then
Mhm.
it's up to us to make sure the here part is as meaningful as possible.
Absolutely. My husband is a quadriplegic. At age 14, he had a diving accident, and
Oh,
he's been in a wheelchair for 43 years. And uh,
wow.
he's such a big part of the community. He does so many things. And when I met him, I was somewhat afraid of losing loved ones. And he has taught me, not unlike what you're talking about. He said, I was faced with my mortality, my potential mortality at age 14. And it taught me not to be afraid of it, but to make sure everything that I'm doing counts. And through him, I've learned not to be afraid, but to make sure that every moment counts. So you're speaking my language. I get it.
That
Absolutely.
is beautiful. And that those are his ripples.
Yes, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes. Geez, for people who, they want to get there as well, uh, how would you tell them to open themselves, let's say, to that idea?
Sure. Well, because my background is behavioral change, and
Mm-hmm.
I also like to make things feel approachable, simple, fun. And this is a heavy topic. I mean, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
I've developed some unusual tools to help. And if you don't want to do one, there's so many in here, you could pick out the ones that you want to use. And one of the ones that was actually just a small paragraph in the book, I wound up writing about it on Substack. I have a Substack account.
Yeah.
It's called The Stand Up Philosopher because I like to merge the humor with this.
Love
And
it.
it got such a strong response on Substack that I'm going to share it with you. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Uh, it's it's called a Mortality Marble Monthly Jar. Okay. And I'm going to tell you what it is.
Yeah.
Um, I started this like I forgot when I started, like a year or two ago. And
Okay.
I counted how many months I have left to live if I live to 100.
Oh, wow.
Because I promised my son I would live to 100.
Oh.
He asked me to live to 200, but I bargained him down and he accepted my counteroffer. But and I am 64. I'm about to be 65 in
Mm.
August.
You look amazing. I would have never
Thank you, Pollock.
guessed.
But actually, this marble jar also helps you to stay healthy. I'm going to explain how it works. It
Okay.
does. Okay. So what it is, I counted how many months I'd left to live, and I forgot the exact number now because I did this a while ago, but let's say it was 473 months. I bought 473 marbles.
Wow.
And then I put it in this jar, and then I got a second jar that I would put next to it, the empty jar.
Yeah.
And every month I take out a marble from my marble jar, the first of the month,
Hmm.
and I hold it up, this little piece of marble, and I look at it and I really make myself think, this is a piece of my life. How
Mm.
did I spend this piece of my life? What did I do with this little piece of my life? Now,
Yeah.
the first month I did this, I got to tell you, it was like a little depressing because I had never done this exercise before. And it
Yeah.
was even hard for me to think, what did I do this month? I couldn't even think of anything I did with my life that month, even though this is what I do for a living. I'm like, but it wasn't as clear to me. I'm like, well, let me see. And I had to like reach for it. And I journaled about it and everything. And I plunked it into the empty jar. But then I thought to myself, next month, I'm going to be very intentional. I'm going to
Mm.
create things that I'm really excited and looking forward to.
Okay.
And I became more intentional. It makes you really be more intentional about your life and how you waste so much time and energy and attention on crap and clutter. And so I looked at the marble that I'm like, okay, that's going to be the marble I pick next month. And I thought, I'm going to make this next month be about this, that, and something else. And then I keep the jars in my kitchen. And
Mhm.
so every time I walk into the kitchen, they're in the window. I'm like, it's like this accountability buddy.
I
Okay,
love it.
you're removing a marble. How are you using your month so far? And then also, they're about hoping to live to 100. And I'm
Mm.
like, it's in the kitchen. I'm like, do you really want that extra scoop of ice cream? Don't you want to live to 100? You got a lot to do. And so
Oh,
I look at it. Sometimes it stops me from like taking the extra snack because it's like staring at me and it keeps me.
wow.
And it's really helped me to live more intentionally. And
Mm.
in fact, I have a kind of funny story about this. I had told my mother, my mom, even though my dad passed early, my mom is 93 and a total spitfire. She's like so great. And
Yeah.
it makes me feel like it's possible to live to 100. So
Yeah.
I promised her that it was 1 month that I said, okay, I'm going to see you this month. It was like one of my intentional things when I looked at the marble. Okay, this is the month. You know, I see her every couple of months. She lives in Philadelphia and I live here in New York. So
Oh, yeah.
I made a plan for her. But then the weekend in that month that I was supposed to go and visit her, my son was sick. So I'm like, Mom, I'm going to have to reschedule. So then she goes, oh, we'll do it next weekend. The next weekend she was sick,
Oh.
whatever. So I was like, okay, then we'll do it. And then it was the last weekend of that month. And I had written down that I was visiting her that month.
Mhm.
And the day before I was supposed to go, I cracked a tooth on
Oh.
Ezekiel cereal, which
Oh my.
is so funny. It's a healthy cereal, but and I didn't know how bad it was. And I went to the dentist and they had to do this whole surgery thing and pull it out. And I was like, and they were like giving me painkillers. And I call my mom. I'm like, hi, mom, I cracked a tooth. And she's like, well, if you want, you don't have to come in tomorrow. I'm like, no,
Oh.
I promised myself I'm coming in March. I'm coming. Because I didn't want to put it off, because I was like, this is the month I'm visiting you. This month I have to get it in. And then
Yeah.
my partner Howard is like, you know what? I did this once before. He had a tooth pulled, and you'll feel better in the morning. So,
Oh,
and I did. By the
good.
next,
Good.
I felt better. But I
Oh.
was going to come in no matter what. And that's what the mortality marble jar does. It's
Mm.
your accountability buddy to make sure you live up to those promises. And then you don't keep putting it off someday, later,
Yeah.
next month. And you keep moving things to the next month and then the next month.
Mm.
It puts you firmly in your intention and
Uh,
you get things done.
I absolutely love that, Karen. I'm going to get a bunch of marbles. I want to live until 100, so I'm going to do this.
Okay.
That is fantastic. And I can see what you say. You look at the marbles, it's like an accountability partner. You're like, okay, well, I'll think
Yeah.
twice. I love it. I love it. Uh, so I I know your book is currently not out, but by the time this airs, it will be, and I want it to be the book of the month. So if you could tell the audience the title and where they will be able to find it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know when this will air, but if you air after July 22nd,
Yeah.
2025, it
Yes.
will be out and about. And the
Mm,
book is called You're to Die for Life. And
mm,
the subtitle is How to Maximize Joy and Minimize Regret Before Your Time Runs Out.
mm.
And my name is Karen Salmansohn, and everybody mispronounces my name. They are saying Salmonson, and I was going, not salmon, not salmon. So my website, to make it easy for everybody, is
I
notsalmon.com.
love it.
And then my Instagram is notsalmon.com, my Facebook, not salmon. And even my Substack is substack.com/notsalmon, although the stand-up philosopher. And
Yeah,
then if you forget that the book has its own website, you're to die for life.com, and
oh,
it's available pretty much everywhere books are sold.
oh, how exciting. Congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you.
And if people want to follow you, where can they find you?
Not salmon. Instagram, not salmon. And I have like a very like, I've have like altogether I have like I forgot what I'm up to, like 1,500,000, if you add up all my social media or whatever. So I have,
Yeah,
and I like posting
okay.
philosophical, psychological things
Yeah,
with tools to help people to live to die for life.
I love it. I love it. Well, Karen, you've been a joy, and I thoroughly enjoyed your information. I'm going to get my marbles as soon as we're finished here. And thank you so very much.
Oh, thank you. You were a delightful interviewer. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. All right, everyone. Take care. Thank you, Karen. Bye bye.